Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are not talking about news because all that news is Wonder Woman 84, and that's a different universe. But we got feedback, and lots of it.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Jeff Randall, how you doing, buddy?
I feel like that intro went really, really well for being like top of my head. That was on the spot, in the moment.
Sometimes you just got to live in the moment, man. You can't plan things. You just got to let them flow. You got to let them go. What are we doing today? Sorry, I was living in the moment too much.
You were too in the moment.
I was too in the moment, and I don't know what we're doing.
You need to think a little bit ahead.
Well, first, we're going to introduce our producer, Ashley. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm really good, and here to tell you you're doing feedback today.
Oh, thank you,
Ashley, for keeping us on track.
You're welcome.
Yes.
We need it. Oh, my God.
Yep, we do.
This whole thing would go off the rails if it weren't for you.
I know we did it for 6 years, but suddenly
we're just incapable.
Yeah, we're incapable of doing it without Ashley keeping us on track.
It's crazy how fast that can happen.
We're so dependent.
Immediately dependent on the new help that Ashley provides. Okay, let us get into the feedback. We're just going to talk about everybody's feedback because we have pages and pages and pages of it that we haven't gotten to because of all the crazy news going on. And we got a couple weeks and we'll hit WandaVision and then we're never going to have time for feedback again. Just kidding. Yeah. Actually, we haven't really figured it out yet.
No, you're not wrong.
But we're going to try to do, I think, an instant take episode of WandaVision and then hopefully a episode of feedback somewhere in the week. It's just a matter of...
Are we going to do it like we did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the day where we would have like... The beginning of it would be feedback about last week's episode.
Right. I don't want to do that. I'd rather do it more timely. So we'll figure all that out off cast. But let's get into...
No. We need to discuss this right now and involve everybody in the process.
Hash this out. My dream for what we do with the feedback. See, and now you got me doing it. I'm having this discussion.
I was kidding.
Even though I
plowing forward.
fully didn't mean to have this. We're having this discussion. My goal is that we will... have as instant of a cast as we can. So as soon as the WandaVision comes out, we can be up talking about it as soon as we can. And then somewhere in the middle of the week, we have another cast where we kind of deal more with feedback. That'd be what I'd like to do. A few days later, give everybody a chance to write in.
Okay. So we can do kind of like what Mr. Fox was doing with
Mando.
The Mando watch.
Yeah. Problem is, all this is coming out on Fridays, and that's my job is to play music, which is all Fridays and Saturdays. So it's going to be a little trickier than when we had Tuesday stuff, because Tuesdays were great for me. Yeah,
Tuesdays were so easy.
Yeah.
Why couldn't the MCU be so easy like it used to be?
Yeah.
Damn COVID, making everything worse.
No, I'm so excited about the new MCU format, man. So freaking excited.
I swear.
Okay, let's talk about the feedback. Let's just dive in.
So we actually have feedback. Damon Anglin sent us an email about the Eternals and the X-Men. He said, "Hey guys, Damon here. Loved all the trailer breakdowns, and I cannot wait for the reaction episodes for WandaVision." Hey, we were just talking about that. It's a great segue.
Or indeed. Good job segueing from a thing you didn't know we were going to be talking about.
Yeah, man, that's perfect. Thank you, Damon, for this amazingly non-meta segue. Because we're going to edit all this out.
I don't edit these.
I just take it straight up to the internet. Mm-hmm. Do with it what you will. Damon says, I come to you, however, with another way for mutants to enter the MCU. They have said repeatedly that Eternals, I guess they dropped but that Eternals will be a very isolated movie as far as the story it tells and how it will be connected to any movies before it and whatnot. That's cool, but I don't buy it. We don't know exactly how they'll adapt the Eternals into this world, but we can hope they will be made by the Celestials. They're immortal, essentially, and all that jazz. Also, apparently, they have a low birth rate and the offspring are always human with no powers. That's also cool, but I don't buy it. What if we find out throughout Eternals, they all have had their fair share of offspring through time, and maybe as an end credit stinger, we see a descendant that was revealed in the movie for whatever reason start gaining powers after the double snap. And this is the beginning of the X gene, or the E gene, LMAO, being activated throughout the world. Let me know what y'all think. I feel like having a connection between the Eternals, a group the mainstream world doesn't really know anything about, and mutants, and of course the X-Men, would make for a smart business move, as well as a lot of room for creative storytelling. Think of the mutants that could find out they're distantly related to each other and their ancestor looks like Angelina Jolie. But yeah, hope y'all at least get a kick out of the idea. Love the show. Love you guys. Keep it up and never stop.
We'll do our best. We'll do our best. Robot Matt will be doing this in 3000 AD or whatever.
Robo Matt. Yeah, I'm going to get started on that bot right now.
Yeah. Start downloading my consciousness, please, Jeff.
I've been working on it for a while. I figured that you would consent to it.
Oh, fully.
Eventually.
It's fine. So the thing about this is, I think he's right. Well, okay, right on a couple things. I think he's wrong about the fact that this movie being a little more isolated is not to be purchased. I think that is true. I think this movie will be fairly separated from the rest of the universe. I think the Eternals is going to be jumping backwards and forwards in time and telling their story throughout time. And I even think that it could be happening overlapping other events. Like we might see the Chitauri invasion. We might see the Thanos snap. We might see all these things happen while the Eternals learn about their heritage or whatever. Or not their heritage, but their own powers. Like I think all of that could happen. So I think that this will be the new Guardians of the Galaxy. They're going to be like off in their own world for this movie. I don't think that what they're saying when they say this will be a fairly separate story, I don't think what they're saying is forever. I think they're saying this is going to be a separate story. This movie is going to be fairly separate, and they're going to try to build a new franchise out of it. And if they can pull that off, it might be the next Guardians of the Galaxy, and it might be the next, like, this is the huge thing that everybody loves, and then they integrate it. If everyone hates it, it will go the way of Inhumans. You know what I mean?
God, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's going to be an isolated story from what we've seen so far, but it's not going to be isolated from the things coming in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that it's going to establish it's the foothold for the rest of everything to jump off of. Is what's coming. I like this idea though about the Eternals spawning X people or spawning the X gene. I don't know that I necessarily like them having offspring into mutants and X genes or whatever, but I don't like that idea of their children or descendants, being X gene. But what if, Eternals so long ago had just a little bit of a genetic experiment and then they thought that they shut it down or something. Right. And then that, progresses through the world and disperses.
It's interesting because the thing about the X-Men that you lose, if you go with any of that stuff, is you lose the idea that was very focused on in the 90s movies or the early 2000s X-Men movies, which is, this is the next step in evolution. You know what I mean?
Well, it still could be if you're talking Eternals, millennia ago.
Sure.
Put this into place, or even like Eternals millennia ago are what pushed humanity or pushed this certain branch of life on Earth to evolve at a more rapid pace to adapt and overcome.
No, it's possible. I think the idea though. What I'm saying is you lose the idea that it's purely an outcropping of evolution, which is kind of the 2000s X-Men movies really focused on that. Like they did a lot of just like the genes. They're, the magical sense of evolution is just creating the X gene. And it's just a thing that you just have to deal with. And it's science and it has nothing to do with past or history or no one created it. It's just a thing. And I think there is something to that. But I also think they relied on it so heavily in those 2000s X-Men movies that maybe that ground has been well trodden, I guess. And the idea that the X gene could have come from somewhere like the Eternals is not horrible. And they do this kind of stuff all the time where they take sort of the backgrounds of different characters and sort of combine them for the movies. Yeah. But as I mentioned a few episodes ago, they're starting to go deeper and deeper into comics to the point that I don't know how much more they want to combine, They really are. They're stripping their universe. When they combine two characters, they lose one of those characters. And they're already telling us the stories of Rocket Raccoon and the Eternals. You know what I mean? They're going pretty deep cut Marvel stuff at this point. It's not anymore. Now Rocket Raccoon is a household name, but it wasn't. And so they're already going pretty deep on Marvel content. And I don't know how much you want to combine every kind of storyline and make them all the same, you know?
Yeah. And, having one of the Eternals or, somebody else, somebody other, put this, put evolution into place or put this, this genetic experiment into place that kind of treads the waters of the way that the Inhumans came about. And, that's not great.
Yeah.
But nobody liked the Inhumans. So,
well, nobody liked the way Inhumans show. It's not that no one liked the idea of the Inhumans. I love the Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. even. And I was really excited to see them proliferate into the movies. And I think they will one day, but I think they won't be connected anymore, Yeah. It'll be something totally different. And the thing is, they do have enough, the Eternals, the X-Men, there are other sources of powers that they can go with to tell the stories they want to tell for a while. And maybe in 10 years we get a new Inhumans,
Maybe.
Or maybe they're just done with it forever in this universe. It's very possible.
I kind of feel like maybe they are just done with it because it flops so hard as a series.
But that's not the Inhumans' fault, though.
Yeah, no, it's not the fault of the Inhumans. We all know who Scott Buck that up.
Yeah, we do.
Scott Buck.
Ah, Buck.
I guess that's all to say. Like, we're not sure how they're going to bring the X-Men in, but there are so many ways that they could go about it.
Yeah, and Damon's idea is cool. I like the idea that the Eternals could have somehow been involved and, brought them about. We talked about it before. I don't know if we've talked about this exact aspect, but the idea that it being the snap being involved in somehow exciting the X gene and creating it to a degree, or activating it. Yeah.
It's like Teragenesis.
Well, sure. But it also means that a lot of people would get their powers at the same time. And then you don't have this sort of generational feel that you have with the X-Men stories, like where you have Professor X and Magneto are the older people who've been working on they're on X rights for a long time, and they're working with a younger class,
Yeah. And then there's teachers that have been in it for, a little bit less time than X and Magneto. And, then you got Jubilee coming in like, holy crap, this has been here the whole time. And I haven't known about any of it. Blech.
Really interesting to see what they'll do with there, because we just had the First Class, and I don't think they're going to want to retell that story right away. But also, just talking about burning their stories, like, it would be kind of interesting to start with a fairly young Professor X and Magneto, maybe a First Class, if you will, of X-Men, and then 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're getting the story of the young Jubilees coming in, and really take the time to tell the story of someone like Hank McCoy, and just really take the time to tell those stories. I don't know.
Isn't that what they did? They told the story of First Class, and then they told 10 years later.
Well, but they did this jumping, which I think would be way more.
They didn't tell any stories in between,
right? And I think it would be way more interesting. And in the MCU, they could do this where you have Professor X and Beast and Iceman and Jean Grey and Cyclops, and then sort of let them be the X-Men for a while, let them be a phase of the X-Men, and then they meet the newer mutants. But it's just hard because those mutants have been told so many times now in so many different movies that it'll feel like retreading at this point. So I don't know what they'll do.
It's weird to think about why did Fox do the thing the way that they did between First Class and what was it, Future Past?
They just wanted to tell the biggest stories. They wanted to tell they looked at comics arcs that were popular, and they were like, we're going to tell that one.
Yeah. They could have done that though also in the 60s. It didn't have to be spread out the way that it was. It could have easily been,
sure,
next year we do this thing. But in 10 years, you had no other tale big enough to put into film.
Right.
They were just kind of sitting around oh God.
Fox was not playing the long game like Marvel does.
Yeah. Not like Feige do.
Not like... It's what the Feige do.
That is how the Feige do. Anyway. So Jesse Wolf.
Actually, let me figure this out.
Go ahead.
Let me figure this out. I know we've spent 15 minutes on this one question, but I really actually now thinking about it, I was just talking about how they could start with a first class. I kind of like the idea of going back further than that, where like, what if we get a young Professor X and Magneto, and that's all we get for the first like while, and it's just X is just this young guy doing his thing, and it's not about him becoming professor, it's about him as a young man, and then they like develop the rest of the X universe around him and around Magneto, and sort of slowly put it together like we've been talking about, but like it's over the course of 10 years. Like, because then you'd really, 10 years later, when you finally get Cyclops, they will bring in the X-Men soon, because you get Magneto, X, any other older mutants, but then you don't actually have the problem of like having to recast the whole team for another 10 years or whatever. I don't know, just an idea. I love those two characters, and I'd like to see them fully explored, and not be rushing to get to the big tentpole X-Men thing, but just telling a Professor X story, a young Professor X getting his powers.
Jesse Wolf says, hey guys, do you think that the upcoming She-Hulk show will be continuously breaking the fourth wall like the comics did for a long time?
I meant to look this up. Is this a thing about She-Hulk? She breaks the fourth wall?
I have not ever read a She-Hulk comic, so I don't know.
That is okay. I didn't know that.
More research is required.
It's I'm looking at an article here that says She-Hulk 1980s breaking the fourth wall before Deadpool is an article on Fandom. So that's interesting, and it's going to be a comedy. I could absolutely see them going that way.
That could be part of the comedy aspect, is turning to the audience with that knowing look of like,
yeah.
Sexism, am I right?
And that concept has already been proven out and done by Deadpool. I do think that if they did that, people would just be like, they're just copying Deadpool.
Yeah, you almost can't do that because Deadpool has done that already.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not like, God, that sucks. Because like, She-Hulk started, or well, I don't know that She-Hulk necessarily started that, but She-Hulk was doing that before Deadpool. So now, like, if they do that, sorry,
yeah.
If they do that now,
yes, 12-year-old Jeff,
shut up, try to move past it. If they do that now, and people start like, Deadpool did that, you just copy a Deadpool, and then you're gonna have those weirdo stands that are gonna like, nah.
Yeah,
She-Hulk was doing that before Deadpool. Deadpool's copying She-Hulk.
It's just a matter of educating the public that like She-Hulk did it first, and then it would be
but
like.
But they don't want to be educated, Matthew.
That's not true. There are lots of YouTube channels dedicated to such education, and they are very successful.
And nobody watches them.
That is not true.
Also false. Patently false.
Patently false, sir. We both watch them. And like dig deep on some character when they're coming, and so I could totally see, and I think Marvel participates in that. I think Marvel, like, let's make sure, to make sure this gets out into the world, that this is a thing that happened in the very first She-Hulk comics or whatever. So I don't know. I have no idea if they'd go that way. My instinct is no, but it's really interesting that is a possibility. So thank you, Jesse. I thank you for making us aware of that possibility.
Oh shit, Matt, I got it.
You got it.
It's The Office.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I was just about to break in and say that we're going to get the She-Hulk version of The Office.
That'd be kind of amazing. Great. And actually, Modern Family shot the same way. Parks and Rec was shot the same way. So then all you'd have to do is make her like the star of a documentary, and then you get her breaking the fourth wall, but for a reason. And then you get all that fourth wall breaking. Oh, that's not a bad idea at all.
That's not a bad idea. We wrote the show right there,
and
man.
I looked into it the other day. The She-Hulk writers and directors, which we haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
And they are on a lot. They are on Parks and Rec, I believe, as is one of the shows they've written on, or some of them have written on. I don't know. I should have made a list because
Hold on, I got to do the Andy.
Which Andy are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, the Chris Pratt,
the Star-Lord?
The gift that everyone uses of Chris Pratt, where he's just like...
Sorry.
Like, we just nailed it.
No, that's a really good idea. And there are, like I said, some of the writers and directors are from those shows. At least I remember seeing Parks and Rec. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Let me read some of these shows that So the series directed by Kat Coroyo. I don't know how to say her name. Coiro.
I don't recognize that name at all.
Kat Coiro, I'm going to say, is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Shameless, a bunch of really just like good comedy stuff, you know? And then we have Anu Valia, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And she's directed things like, college humor, some college humor stuff. And I'm not seeing any other major things. But the writing credits were another one that I noticed. A lot of big named. The writer Jessica Gao is the writer or one of the writers on the show. She's done Rick and Morty, Silicon Valley.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, like really good sort of pedigree for this show. So I noticed that the other day, and I thought I'd bring that info. She's also directing or writing something called Star Wars Detours, which looks like it might be like some sort of shorts or something. I don't know. It's a TV series. Okay. I haven't heard of this. Star Wars Detours? Is that one of the things they announced?
Turning to Ashley Coffin.
I'll look it up.
Turning to Ashley Coffin, who was on that talk.
Interesting.
That discussion cast.
Yeah, it's saying it's a TV show. Interesting. I haven't heard of Detours yet. It looks like an animated show. Interesting. Okay, cool. Well,
I didn't remember them saying anything about that. That's weird. I don't know if that's going to be on. Let me see.
Breaking news.
That's
right
weird.
here, folks.
I'll get back to you with more info.
Breaking news. Star Wars Detours coming.
Seth Green is the executive producer. What channel is this on?
I'm guessing it's going to be Disney Plus. I guess it could be one of the
Star Wars HoloNet. What is this? Huh.
Okay.
I'll keep looking and check that.
It's just a YouTube series.
She's going to give that a deep goog, and we are going to move.
Oh, give it a deep goog.
Give it a deep goog, Ash. Give it a deep goog.
It didn't have to go very deep. It was a two-season show on some other channel. That wasn't very popular.
Oh, it says it's in post-production on
Really?
IMDb.
This said it was 2 seasons.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's just
Give it a deeper goog.
Enhance. Yeah, Star Wars Detours says it's in post-production. Well, never mind.
I know. I was going to let you get there.
It says post-production, but it was in 2012.
Oh.
Yeah, there's 2 seasons, about 39 episodes.
Sorry, I saw the red post-production, which normally means it's not finished. And
it's an unaired American. So this never happened.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, Star Wars Detours is an unaired American CGI animated series.
All right. Well, this was all silly. Everybody search for Detours and you won't find it.
This is the most useless conversation we've ever had. And we've had some pretty useless conversations.
So let's move on. This has been embarrassing.
All right, some Ricardo Jimenez. Oh, goodness. I looked down the paragraph a little bit. Okay, he says, hey guys, been listening for a while now while I drive for Amazon and follow the Facebook group, but never written in this way before. The trailer breakdowns were a lot of fun and had some interesting takes, so here are some of mine. First, how dare you besmirch the good name of Beta Ray Bill? I love that hammer-wielding space donkey. The possibility of seeing him in a movie is so absurd and hilarious, and the 13-year-old version of me is dying for that. The 40-year-old me is also, which I guess is half embarrassing, but 100% cool. So if we're using the 150% meter, I'm really looking forward to that possibility, despite no one else in the world probably sharing that thought. I'm gonna put a pause on that, put a pin in that right now. Like, I was not besmirching Beta Ray Bill. I don't want them to bring us Beta Ray Bill in any form other than hammer-wielding space donkey, because that's amazing and ridiculous and absurd.
You were pointing out that there's a version in the Loki trailer that does not look like the Beta Ray Bill we would want. Like he just looks like a human that's holding a hammer, and you were like, I hope that's not Beta Ray Bill. Not because you don't want Beta Ray Bill, because you actually want Beta Ray Bill.
Because I actually want Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, not some just hammer-wielding human.
Poser. Some Beta Ray, more like Omega Ray Bill.
Some Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. Just fucking simp. Oh, shit. That's so dumb. So, Ricardo, I am with you on that excitement. That would be so ridiculous and awesome if they did it correctly, which is the way that he is. And we've seen some of him on screen before. Like, we've seen that race, like skeletons of that race in Guardians 1 and 2.
We saw a statue of it in Ragnarok.
So, like, he's out there.
Oh, yeah.
Ricardo continues saying, WandaVision, I feel like it may be possible all the TV show all the TV show mocks, will appear all in the first episode while setting the stage, and we're being duped into thinking that's the basis of the whole series, while they take us in many other directions.
That's interesting. I don't know if I agree, but I would love that. I love a good surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had entire episodes where we talk about no surprise anymore.
Yeah, and we were very wrong because there have been some pretty big surprises.
Wildly incorrect. He says, Gambit being rumored or surmised to appear in Madripoor is very interesting and exciting, but what I'm really hoping for is a post-credit scene a la Mandalorian where we're introduced to Wolverine in a subtle way. Maybe even just by name and description of a short, tough security guard named Patch, referencing his early 80s comic run.
That'd be awesome. Be absolutely awesome. Speaking about Gambit, we talked a lot about Gambit, and I think there was some pretty fun little coincidences in that trailer that made it seem like maybe Gambit. But after rewatching the trailer, it is pretty clear the guy in the trench coat is Zemo, right?
Yeah, no, I don't expect Gambit in there at all.
Yeah, I don't either. It was a really fun conversation to speculate about. And
it's just, it feels like Charlie on Always Sunny, like we had a low string out.
We were red stringing real hard.
We were like, God, it's Louisiana and Madripoor and a stick and energy and trench coat. Yeah. It's Gambit.
It all made sense. It all made sense in the moment. But looking back, like he's, it appears that Zemo is clearly wearing that coat in another shot. And we're like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. That's just Zemo. When you remove the trench coat, the Gambit red string gets a little thin.
Yeah, it all falls apart. It all falls apart very easily.
I love how much we were relying on that dang coat for interesting.
Well, there was also the staff and the fire.
I agree, and we're in the bayou. It's not the only thing, but it's amazing how you remove one piece and the whole Jenga tower seems to fall apart.
His collar was really popped too.
Yeah.
Gambit has a very exaggerated collar.
It's true.
It's true. But we built a house of cards.
We still have a mutant city, nightlife, bayou, kinetic energy being transferred through a staff, which granted could just be static energy or whatever, but there's sparks, but still.
It could have just been raking it across the concrete and making sparks.
Yeah, exactly.
Easily.
Yep.
It could easily be anybody else, but damn it, let me believe.
Give this one to me, people. Give this one to me.
Give this Gambit to me. Ricardo says, the What If series, I feel may all be a base to set up the Watcher and his character / positioning for a future Galactus story, adding that much more gravitas to him getting involved and in a way breaking his oath. Also wanted to add that I love the chat mid-show with Ashley on these.
We also love the chats with Ashley. How you doing over there, Ashley?
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Keep talking about how much fun it is to have me here.
I was just thinking about the What If, though. People on our Facebook chat, our Facebook chat right now is an amazing episode of What If. I feel Kyle Ray and a lot of people have been doing really good with casting people in different, for Fantastic Four, and I've just been really enjoying it.
Oh, man, that discussion is, I feel like that discussion is tired, but still exciting at the same time.
What's the highlights of it? I think I've missed this one because I've been working for New Year's and everything.
A couple people have jumped on my Adam Driver as Doom Train, which I'm really liking.
Yeah,
people really are liking Zac Efron as Johnny Storm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of our feedbacks might be in here. It might be in here later.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
What's your problem with him as Johnny Storm? And I think me and Jeff both have an inexplicable reason we just don't really like Zac Efron that much. I don't know why.
I just think that they can do better. I'm not saying he's a bad actor. But I think that I expect grade A quality right now from Marvel. And he's like a B+, he's fine. He's fine. I wouldn't be upset if he got
Ashley.
it. Yeah,
I don't know why, and I've said it before, but I've just never watched a movie with him and been like, I connect with that guy.
Same.
And like, it's really easy, especially for us geeky folks, it's really easy. Those of us that are sort of like losers in the society, and a lot of people who love this comic book stuff have feelings of outsiderness, and for some reason, I don't feel it's easy to put a guy on the screen as a superhero because they have the look or they have like a charisma, but like you gotta have that heart in the center of the acting, and I have not seen Zac Efron do that. And granted, I haven't seen everything he's done. Weirdly, my favorite Zac Efron thing is 17 Again. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
No.
I love 17 Again. I think it's great. It's like weirdly, but I think a lot of it is because it's one of those body switch type movies, and it's Chandler from Friends. What's his name? Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry is like a 40-year-old man. It feels like he missed out on the things in his life or whatever, and he makes a wish and becomes Zac Efron as a teenager and like relives his glory days. It's about him learning whatever. But I think one of the reasons I like that movie is because from the beginning of the movie, I find a lot of heart in Matthew Perry, and then it gets sort of transferred over to the younger version, and I'm like, oh, that's the character that I've been following. I'm in. Whereas
I was really hopeful when he got cast as Ted Bundy because I was excited to see him do something serious, and even that it wasn't very good.
I've heard a lot of people say they found that his acting in that really compelling, and they found him very charming as Ted Bundy.
Yeah, I mean he's
in a real scary
himself
way.
Is pretty charming. Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Which there's this difference between charming and like pathos. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Tony Stark, for instance, has both. Cap has mostly pathos. There's this sort of like lever of like this sort of humanity where you get in under their skin and you feel like you are them. And then there's this sort of lever that's like they're brash and you see they're sort of magnetic. You know what I mean? I don't feel like Cap is very magnetic to the people around him. You know what I mean? But he is the guy we want to be in his skin. We want to look at him and go like, I am that guy. You want to be other things with him.
I want to, I don't know. If he walked into a room, I would literally throw myself against him without any control. So I don't know. Oh, that's not the magnetic. Okay.
Not the same magnetism.
Oh, okay.
But it's just a difference in characters. And I think that he plays, and maybe that's who Johnny Storm should be. But I feel like with Tony, there's this sort of like regret behind his eyes and this pain and this sort of like motivation to fix his father's sins that sort of like creeps over his face from time to time. And Robert Downey Jr. plays it really, really well. I just haven't seen Efron do that. And so maybe he can, but I haven't seen it.
You say that you and I, Matt, have an inexplicable dislike for Zac Efron.
Is yours very explicable?
I know exactly what has caused me to not really like him. Is that there was a web series, or not a web series, it was a documentary series on Netflix called Down to Earth with Zac Efron.
Oh, I saw this. Yes, I saw the first couple episodes. I
swear to God, that series like opened my eyes to just how out of touch with reality
Absolutely.
He is.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
He's so out of touch with literally everyone.
Yep.
And I'm like, how can you evoke any sort of emotion about anybody or get in touch with anybody's story if you have just no understanding of any other person in the world?
Yeah. I watched the same thing and I thought the same thing, and it made me sort of feel justified in the feelings I've already had for years, which is I don't feel that pathos coming off of him when I watch him. He's charming. He does his things well. He's a good actor for what he does, but I don't ever feel like he's me. And then I watched that show and he's going to like water bars and they're talking about like the different bottled waters they're tasting. This one comes from the Swiss Alps and like, oh, I can taste the mineral. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, no, you're that person. And that is why you don't. That and I, that's
why he belies in like High School Musical, just walking around being like, cottage cheese, what is it made of? Like, stay in your wheelhouse.
Right.
Like, he was the pretty guy in Hairspray, and that's about it.
Right. And I think he works well in certain things, like as sort of the comedy foil in those, Neighbors, or those movies?
Yeah.
Like, he works well in those movies, but I still don't feel much coming off of him. Like, I don't feel connected to him. He is the villain of those movies. And like, he works well as that, and he's charming and he's fun to watch, but I still don't. Anyway, we're going on and on. I know people disagree, and that's cool. Like, I think he could be great. Someone brought up, actually, it's in our feedback somewhere, so I won't spoil it, or unless I can just find it.
Don't spoil the feedback.
Emily, right here. Emily Sissel, who won trivia. Was it this week or last week she won trivia? She won this week, right?
I think it was this week.
Woo,
yeah.
Get it, Emily. Wednesday night trivia. She's kicking butt. And she says, okay, what do y'all think of Joe Keery from Johnny what do y'all think of Joe Keery for Johnny from Fantastic Four? Saw a commercial with him in it. I think he would be great in the role. He plays Steve on Stranger Things. And I think that's a really good one, actually. Have you guys know Steve from Stranger Things?
Yeah,
yes.
Steve Dad.
Amazing hair.
And I could totally see it with like with Shocking Blonde. Like,
yeah, like, he needs to buff up a little bit. He needs to hit that MCU gym now.
Well, he could, but also like this. I always think of the Human Torch as sort of that like Spider-Man physique, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep thinking of Chris Evans and that skin tight. Fantastic.
Yes, you do. You do keep thinking of Chris Evans and that skin tight, whatever.
You started this.
Chris Evans being in that movie was a reason for them to just like start burning clothing.
Right.
They're just like, because he's on fire all the time and he can't control it. So let's take his shirt off.
How do we take his shirt off?
Burn it.
Beginning of the Thirst Club right there.
There it is.
Back.
I might as well have been doing it with my mind.
Get it off of there. Get it up. Thank you.
It hurts. Take it off. No, yeah.
Your shirt just rubs me the wrong way.
I didn't know this kid's name, Joe Keery, but I like him a lot in Stranger Things. He has the sort of like, he has both those things we're talking about. He has the magnetism of sort of like being kind of a cool guy, but he also, I feel a lot of pathos from him in those shows. Like he also can play the sort of disaffected, hurt, lacking person that like you kind of need to root for, I guess.
Well, that's the thing about him and the character of Steve from Stranger Things. Like for a bit of it, like first season, he was that like jock that you just kind of hated,
right? Yeah,
but like he was still kind of on the team, you know? Like,
exactly.
He was still sort of one of the good guys, and then like as time went on, he just became Steve Dad. You know, he was the older brother dad figure of the kids, and like you just love him. You got to the point of where you just could not imagine. You can't imagine the series without him because he has to be there.
Well, and that's the thing about even Tony. Like you first see Tony, if you don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt from the beginning, he's kind of a jerk. Like
he's a straight up dick.
He's an absolute jerk. He's like. He's winning an award and just handing it to someone else. He's like, I don't care about, but there's definitely a lot of humor written for Tony in the beginning, which makes you want to watch him. And that's the thing about Steve. I think he works well, or Joe Keery, he works well as like that sort of like, even if I dislike what he's doing, I still find him an entertaining actor. And then you put on top of that, the fact that he really can play that pathos, then I'm just like, I'm in, man. I'm in.
Yep. Next up is Thomas Baker. It says, do you plan on re-uploading the podcast episodes for S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, episodes 5 through 10? I would really love them for my rewatch.
So I got this message and I immediately uploaded episode 5. I will try to upload episodes 6 through 10 later this week, or at least as many as I can. So the problem is, and I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating because we've gotten some complaints about it. When I upload a new episode, it clogs up the feed sometimes. And if I upload all of them at once, it will clog up the feed really bad and kind of mess with everybody's feed. So I've been kind of uploading them every once in a while, like one a week right before we drop a new episode. So it's so they're up. They basically, sometimes they get distributed to the feeds and sometimes they don't. So you might see a random episode from 2014 pop up in the feed, and it's just because of the way the whole thing works. So and then I move them back. So just please put up with it. It's funny. We have some people
put up with it.
We have some people complaining about them, are like, "Hey guys, why is this random episode from 2014 popping up?" And other people saying like, "Where are the episodes from 2014?" So I'm trying to balance that so as not to flood the feed at one time, so everybody gets like 15 downloads of old episodes, but also trying to get them up as quick as I can. So yes, Thomas, they will be there shortly. Hopefully,
we're working on it.
We're only dropping one episode in the feed this week, so that'll give me a chance to upload a few later in the week. Once this one runs its course or whatnot, I'll have time to upload a few of the other ones.
Yep. Bradley McWilliams says about Black Widow. First, I'd like to say that your podcast is great. I recently discovered it while trying to get my MCU fix during this extended time off.
Thank you, Bradley.
I have some predictions for Black Widow that I'd like to share.
Sweet.
But I will preface that by saying that Clint and Natasha are my two favorite original Avengers. Not really sure why, to be honest, but just relate to them the most. But I'd say that's why, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you say
right?
that's why?
I'd say that's all of us as well. I don't think anyone relates with the ones with the godlike powers.
I don't know what you're talking about. Have you seen me?
I think their relationship, if nothing else, makes them incredibly relatable. You know?
There it is. Yeah.
Like,
that's accurate.
Everyone else in that movie, particularly, they don't really have close relationships with the people that are on the team, and those two do, and it really creates a lot of affection, especially for two characters who haven't had their own movie yet. That was a really smart choice to give those two the connection.
The rest of the characters had their lead-in movies where they had to, they got to have relationships and everything, and if you want these two to be in any way relatable, you've got to give them some sort of relationship. And the easiest way to do that is to give them their own movie. But, if you're not giving them their own movie, give them a relationship here. There it is. Boom. Nailed it. Done.
Yeah, I dig it. It was a really smart move on Joss Whedon's part.
Bradley continues. Anyway, I think we will get cameos from a few other Avengers as we jump through different time periods. It will start with her and Tony from the end of Civil War, when he tells her that Ross is coming for her. Next, she goes back to Russia, and the vast majority of the movie takes place during this period. We will get a flashback with more details to her days in the Red Room, and then at some point she will end up having to go to Budapest, which will trigger a flashback to her last visit there. This is where Clint comes in, and we finally find out what happened there. If this doesn't happen, we riot. I've watched the trailers a bunch and cannot figure out what happens in the main body of the movie, which is a good thing, as I love being surprised. The movie ends with her meeting up with Cap, Sam, and Wanda, which will lead into Infinity War. I'd love to see a movie about what his group was doing for 2 years. I am very much in the camp that she is not dead for good, or at least don't want her to be. So the post-credits scene will take place in 2023 on Vormir. We will get to see Cap meet the Red Skull. They have to show us this interaction at some point, don't they? He makes a deal, and it ends with a zoom in of Natasha's body, and when it's on her face, her eyes open. A lot of these are just wishes on my part, but based on loose ends that I think need to be addressed. Keep up the good work, Brad.
Interesting.
What if it ends on her face and it's a Skrull?
I don't know, man. But then it's like, did Clint make the sacrifice he needed to make to get the Soul Stone?
Well, he thought it was her.
Well, yeah, but does the Soul Stone not know the difference?
I think it's that.
And why would the Skrull have fought
in
so
his
hard
heart
to save him? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Unless
it's a terrible idea.
It's complicated and it would be tough to make work exactly right. But I hear what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah,
is it about the sacrifice that she makes for everybody, or is it about the sacrifice that he has to make in his heart?
It's supposed to be about his sacrifice, but yeah, the question is, does it work if you're wrong? Like, if I think I'm throwing my favorite person off the rock, but I throw someone else, am I wrong? Or how long has she been a Skrull? Does he really care about this version because she's been a Skrull that long? So who knows? I don't know, man. But I don't like the idea of her being a Skrull for too long, because that takes away from the whole experience of Black Widow and the Red Room and all that stuff. Let me say about the Red Room, I really hope we get a handcuff on a bed. I just need a handcuff on a bed to tie it to S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Or to Agent Carter.
The Agent Carter, that's the one.
Yeah, I just want a handcuff on a bed. It's all it takes. Give me one little handcuff on one little bed, and I'll be very happy.
Matt, if you want a handcuff on a bed...
Yes?
Like...
What joke are you going to make?
None of them. None of them.
None of them?
You need only look to Agent Carter.
That's true. That's true.
Why did she... Never mind. Nope, I'm not going there.
Okay.
One little handcuff on one little bed. That's all we need.
All we need.
What if instead of handcuffs at this point, because technology has improved since the 40s and 50s,
sure.
like what if they've got like the straps, like the leather straps on the bed, much like insane asylums?
Yeah. Or sex dungeons, sure. Yeah.
Or sex dungeons.
I'm with you.
It's kinky.
Just one little handcuff on one little bed. That's all we need. I mean, it's going to be a flashback anyway, so like, yeah.
Ryan Collins sent us a message. Hey, Jeff and Matt. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on my Magneto/Professor X idea. I'm fine with the idea of Magneto being an African-American in the MCU, but I have my concerns about Professor X, and here's why. From my understanding, the reason Magneto committed the crimes he committed was because of all of the hatred against mutants. He was afraid that the mutants would be treated the same as he was during the Holocaust. Professor X never experienced any racism other than being a mutant, which is what makes Professor X and Magneto's viewpoints different. I feel that if Magneto is African American, then Professor X should be a different ethnicity. He doesn't have to be white, though. I was thinking he could be Hispanic, Native American, or Middle Eastern. All of those groups have had their own battles against racism, but it's still not the same as the African American community. And since their experiences with racism is different, their viewpoints can be different as well. That's just my opinion, and I was wondering what you guys would think about that. Sorry for the long email. This is actually a lot shorter than what I originally typed. Thanks for all you do, Ryan.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for keeping it piffy. That was not that long. Appreciated it. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I've heard some people say the same. And I think that is possible. I think you run the risk a little bit. Someone else wrote in once about you running the risk of being like, making the bad guy a angry black man, but not having representation for the sort of like, the Martin Luther King of it all, if that makes sense. And that's what I would say about this, about them both being black. Yes, that is why Magneto is angry, but it doesn't mean that Professor X can't have a different experience in life or just make different choices. And the thing is, both of them throughout their history have been written to be similar to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who were both black men who had drastically different views on how to handle the rebellion they needed to fight, you know, the injustices they needed to fight. They needed to they both needed to do it. They both had the same experience as black men in America, but they chose different paths and different rhetoric and different actions. So, you know, I think there's definitely room for them both to be black, I think. But I hear what you're saying, and it's hard. Talking about any of this stuff with race is hard, and it's hard to be like, because as I said, someone else wrote in when I said that when we were talking about all this, because we hadn't mentioned the fact that Professor X was to be. We were talking about Professor X being black as well. We just talked about Magneto, and someone wrote in like, no, do not make the villain of the piece an angry black man. That's just playing into racial stereotypes. And I was like, right, I get that, but that's why we were saying both.
I felt like I said that like in the moment when we were talking about the, you know, one or both of them being black. I was like, we can't make just one of them and it can't be just Magneto because like you can't make it can't be a white hero sort of story.
Right. I mean,
fighting against the angry black man. Like, that's real bad.
It can be. Like, there's nothing wrong. Like, it is a possible way you can do it. You just have to do it in light of the situation, and you have to understand where the characters are coming from. I think it's possible to do right, but it's tough. There's definitely a big complication there.
I think even if they were to do it in a way that was good for the story and like made sense, it would still be so universally panned for being a white hero, savior of the other races kind of thing.
It depends on how you handle it. I agree with you. I agree with you that it's fraught. I don't think that it's impossible to do, because depends on how much of a villain in the piece Magneto is. Or is Magneto more of an anti-hero that you fully understand his side of things? You know what I mean?
I mean, he is.
Right. Well, in some tellings, in others tellings, he's a little more of a mustache twirler, And so depending on how you balance that, and depending on how you balance that with how much you are questioning of Professor X, like whereas First Class and particularly the Phoenix, I think the Dark Phoenix movie they recently did, those really questioned Professor X's motivations and the things he had done and the mistakes he had made. And if you kind of balance that out, you could have something where you're not just making these characters tropes,
Yeah.
Sort of falling along racial lines. But at the same time, I never want to tell anybody they can't make any character, any race, if it makes sense and you are aware of the cultural context and racial context that we all live in.
Right.
I think any character can be anything. You just have to be self-aware with what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's like you said, it's fraught, and I don't know. I think it's just easier to put them both as the same race, just because that same experience is different decisions, different reactions, kind of thing, is the easiest way to go.
Yeah, that's what makes it powerful in my mind, is the fact that they are two men in
Right.
the case that we're talking about, where if they're both African-American men, then like they both have the same experience and they choose different paths, and it's about that choice. And then they can criticize and have like legitimate conversations about who's making the right choice. And you don't have to make one of them right. They can be, Charles is wrong often. In many of the stories.
I just had the worst. Okay, so I'm still on the Whoopi Goldberg needs to be Professor X train.
Yeah.
But then some reason, I imagined her with the dreadlocks that she often has,
right.
The super long hair. And I equated that to Cerebro, always on, always connected to her head. Because, the dreadlocks are similar to the cables coming down. And then that went into James Cameron Blue Avatar thing, where she instead just connects Cerebro to the ends of her dreadlocks.
Interesting.
And I went down a path.
Oh, you did. That was a quick little detour into insanity you just did.
I hope I don't do that again. That was too far.
Did you just black out?
I blacked out. What happened, guys? Let's go to Dylan Diggs. He says, I love you guys, but... Nah, I just love you guys. No qualifier. Keep up the good work.
He's referencing a few weeks ago. We often get people being like, I love you guys, but...
However.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, we always know it's going to be a particularly harsh criticism of our thoughts when they start that way.
There we go.
He continues with, I've been a week behind on listening in because, well, everything going on in the world, but I have a few questions for you. 1, fan casting. If you could pick one actor from each of the following franchises... Star Wars universe, Star Trek universe, and DC, to play a role in the upcoming uncasted MCU movies and series, who would it be and what role? 2, fan directors.
Let's do these one at a time.
Okay, let's do one. Let's start with one.
This is probably our last question for the day, because this is going to take a minute. Let's see. Fan casting. So, Star Wars universe. Pick a actor from a Star Wars movie and put them in a role in the MCU. What do you got, Jeff?
Oh, I'm sticking with my Doom, Adam Driver.
I think that's a really
good one.
It's a really, really good one. I know who I want. I'm just trying to think of who they need to be.
So, okay, we're wanting the actor, not the character.
Yeah.
So it's I want Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All right, I'm going to go Donald Glover as Human Torch.
But Donald Glover's already in the MCU.
Oh, you're right. Dang it. I forgot.
It's hard.
I forgot. He was only there for a minute, but he's in there.
Yeah, he's going to be Prowler.
Yeah, most likely. Okay. Dang.
It's hard because like so many people have gone across all of these verses.
Right. Absolutely.
Already. So,
who's the guy who played Haymitch on the guy who played in that most recent Rogue One? He was Haymitch in Hunger Games, and he's in White Men Can't Jump. I don't know. Gosh, I can't remember the guy's name.
Woody Allen?
No,
Woody Allen?
no, Woody Allen.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. Thank you. Woody Allen's really funny though.
But can we get Woody Allen?
Yeah, can we get Woody Allen? Woody Allen as Peter Parker.
I like to swing. You know,
Woody Allen is fraught as well. Again, we don't need to put him in a role where he's dating young MJ.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll stop talking about him.
Woody Harrelson is Juggernaut. There we go.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I like it.
what about Felicity Jones as Sue Storm?
Yep, I like that a lot too.
Felicity Jones.
Yep. She was Jen Erso in
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Okay. Yeah. She's great. Yeah, she'd be a good Sue Storm. Okay, Star Trek universe.
Star Trek verse. Ooh, Trip Maverick had a good one just now in the chat. He said, I've heard the Oscar Isaac is Moon Knight rumor, and I love that.
Yeah.
Love that so much.
By the way, I get really annoyed at all these podcasts and whatever YouTube channels that keep coming on and saying things are confirmed that are not. It really pisses me off. Just because, like, we try. I mean, we make mistakes every once in a while where we hear something's confirmed and then it's not. We have to walk it back later. But, like, I don't know. I just, like, was scrolling through somebody's YouTube earlier today, and it was just like they were saying every rumor we've heard about Spider-Man 3, which is a lot of them, they're all confirmed. And I was just like,
Yeah.
It's just like, no, you're posting clickbait is all you're doing. It annoys me because it's not confirmed. Like, try to wait till someone official says it. I mean, if it's like big enough source, then maybe. But like, yeah. I'm gonna go with Star Trek universe. I'm gonna go Zoe Saldana as Gamora.
Oh man, I was gonna go Carl Urban as Scourge.
Oh, that's a good one too. I was gonna say
Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
Oh, you guys, damn, these are really good.
These are good.
These are really good. They're really, really good. I'm going to go a DC universe. I'm going to go Ben Affleck as Moon Knight. I actually think he'd be great. Like he plays those dark characters well. I love Ben Affleck as Batman, as Moon Knight, whatever. I think he's great. I don't think the movies have been great, but I think he's great.
Ashley, what do you think about Henry Cavill as Wonder Man?
That's fine.
Except I really want Nathan Fillion, but yeah.
Oh God, it would just be too much. He's just so Superman.
Yeah.
Mine is, same thing.
You could,
I'll allow it.
He could be Adam Warlock.
Could he?
Yeah, I could see it.
I mean, Wonder Man, it looks pretty much exactly the same.
Ooh,
Black hair.
Ooh. I got one. I want Jason Momoa as Namor.
Yes.
They're just crossing.
Just feels right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think these are hard because there's so many people have already crossed over, and then you get so many characters are so similar.
Yep. Henry Cavill as Sentry is a good one. Because he is Superman.
Okay.
Ooh, maybe Tom Hardy as Mr. Sinister.
Ooh, that's good.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good job, Ash.
Give him a chance to redeem himself.
Yeah. Hey.
Because, as we all know, his punishment must be more severe.
He gave us such a gift.
All right. Next up, he says fan director staffing. What directors who haven't directed an MCU movie would you want to see take the helm of an upcoming movie? And he says, I'd give Patty Jenkins a shot at A-Force.
Yeah, I was thinking Patty Jenkins, and then I read the next part that said me, I'd give Patty Jenkins a shot at the A-Force. Good, done. I want that too.
Yeah, there you go.
I would love Tarantino to do like Sinister Six or something that could be a little darker.
X-Force.
Dude,
Yes.
Tarantino's Sinister Six would be killer. That sounds
Literally.
amazing. Like, really give a lot of
Dialogue.
character, like he's really good at giving a lot of flair to his characters, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Big brain. Here we go. Tarantino, Thunderbolts.
Oh, that's good too. I really liked I like the Sinister Six because I like the idea of each of the Sinister Six having a really distinct character that he like toys with, and the cinematic style could sort of adapt to that character, and Peter having to fight each one, but still having the threat of poor young Tom Holland at the hands of a brutal director like Tarantino. You know what I mean? Like that seems
Yeah. Oh, I'd love it.
the sort of like, but you could never make that movie because you can't put Spider-Man in that because all the kids want to see all the Spider-Man movies, and that movie would be way too dark. It would, but it would be. I would love it.
That's what I would love.
Okay, so we've gotten the dark, gritty Batman. How long do you think it's going to be before we get a dark, gritty Spider-Man movie? It'll happen one day.
Maybe. It depends on what they do with Disney, because we got those Wolverines and Deadpool. So as long as we keep showing them that we want that, I feel like we have a better chance.
Yeah, I also think it kind of takes the generation to grow up that is loving those stories. So like the generation who were children when the Spider-Man like really is so popular, like eventually like he'll be less popular with the kids and there'll be some other hero that the kids love, kind of like with with Wolverine, Batman, all of that. And then you get to make more adult stories with them because now so much of the ticket sales are to families and kids, Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Edgar Wright. And I don't even know what he'd make. He wanted to do Ant-Man, and I would love to have seen that. But I know that's an old gripe that I have.
Yep.
But
I have never heard that before.
Yeah,
Obviously.
brand new.
Brand new discussion to be had.
He also says my Mount Rush. Oh, he says my Mount. This is Dylan talking. My Mount Rushmore of MCU movies are Iron Man gets the George Washington spot, Avengers, Civil War, and Infinity War. Hope you're all staying healthy and sane. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Nope. Definitely not staying sane. Probably not staying healthy.
Nope. Neither one.
Neither of those things.
I apparently made the right decision over the holidays. I did not go see my family for the holidays.
Are they all dead now?
They all have COVID, every one of them. Yeah, so they are not dead. It looks like they'll mostly survive.
Mostly.
I am honestly like, I don't want to get too serious, but I am worried about my dad. He's in such bad health. He hasn't been to a doctor since my parents were married, so it's been like older than I am. It's been 40 years since he's been to a doctor, and he is now in his 60s, and he's starting to get like look in really bad health, and his like got crazy like veins on his legs and stuff that we're really worried about, but he won't go see a doctor because he's stubborn. And now he has COVID, but he's refusing to acknowledge it to some degree. And it's just, and he's just laid up in bed, and hopefully he'll pull through okay. But he is very much the type of person who is at risk. So, scary time. Apparently they went to I think did I tell this on that story on another podcast this last week? I feel like I might. I told it on trivia night, but my family hasn't gotten together in like 10 years or 6 years or something for Christmas because since my grandmother passed, they just haven't had the motivation to get together, I guess. So this year I created a group that was like, hey, everybody, let's get together this year for Christmas. This was in January. Like, I was like, we missed it too many years in a row. Let's do Christmas this year. Started this group among my family, and then COVID hit. And so around like whatever, September, October, November, they start talking in the group like, okay, when are we getting together? And I was like, guys, I'm not. I know I started this group, but like COVID is real and you guys should not probably get together. And sure enough, they had that party, and now multiple people from the party all have COVID. And I'm pretty sure that party was just a little mini super spreader. So yeah,
great.
It sucks.
And I was unpacking like one of my last boxes last night, and I pulled out a Christmas card from my grandmother from last year, and it was like, "Merry Christmas and the happiest of New Years to all of you." I'm like, that didn't work out.
Didn't work out. I'm gonna bring you in, Ash. How you doing?
Right as she's yawning.
I was yawning.
Big yawn. Like, I'm glad you're enjoying the show.
I really cared about what you're talking about.
Yeah. I care so much.
You have families and shit, whatever.
I'm still 2-day hangover, man.
I like that that's like your superhero name, your 2-day hangover man.
2-day hangover.
2-day hangover man.
I will make you feel bad.
A shitty superhero.
Be like headaches, dehydration.
Okay, so is there anything in the chat, Ash? You've been keeping an eye on the chat. Anything we should talk about from the chat?
I have only about two.
Cool.
Muzzy Nat says Cavill for Sentry.
Oh, yeah. I like it. Because Superman is Superman, am I right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I like it.
It's a good one. And then Smith Rocks 2 said whomever is directing Cobra Kai should get a shot at an MCU movie. So I looked that up real fast, and it seems like there's a lot of people who direct it, but mostly it's somebody named John Hurwitz and Hayden Slajenberg.
That show has had such a blow up, or what do they call it? What do the kids call it?
It's gone viral.
No, that's not. That's what our generation called it 15 years ago. Glow up. Glow up. That's right? That's right.
Up?
Someone's young out there.
Listen, we don't know what that means.
Okay, that show started on YouTube years ago as like a YouTube original, and has like YouTube originals is no longer even a thing, but it just transcended it, and people loved it so much it's now on some other streaming service. I don't even know.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Okay, and everybody's saying it's how good it is. I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, we love it. Oh,
yeah?
no, we blew through the first 2 seasons pretty quickly.
Sweet.
And I think season 3 just came out yesterday or something.
Neat. I haven't seen it. Everybody just tells me it's really, really great. So
it's
should
funny.
Really check it out. It's funny? Is it?
Yeah, it's hilarious, and it's short. Like, the episodes aren't too long.
And speaking of new shit on Netflix, Ashley, why didn't you tell me that Sabrina Part 4 was coming out?
It came out the day after Christmas.
Why didn't you tell me? I completely missed that.
Oh, no. It's over now.
We have got to do a better job of keeping up with the geeky stuff coming out, because like I keep seeing things and being like, we should have covered that on PandaVision, and I just totally didn't do it.
I'm still a little depressed at the ending. I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, it made me sad. I watched the whole thing yesterday with my hangover, and at the end I was like, that didn't make me feel any better.
No.
I know.
Well, I have that to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, tell me how it makes you feel.
Well, I've only seen the first few episodes of Sabrina, but it seemed pretty good. It gave me big Buffy vibes.
Yeah.
It's funny how like Buffy, I feel like Buffy spawned an entire generation of sort of supernatural teen shows that are like comedic but also serious, you know?
Yeah, that's why I liked Sabrina, because it's actually pretty dark for a kid's show.
It really is.
It's very dark. The same people make Riverdale, and they really push it with those 2 shows, calling them, teen shows.
Yeah.
Riverdale is a modern soap opera.
Yeah.
But
if I had kids, I would not let my kids watch Riverdale. I love Riverdale, but not a mother, but I wouldn't let them watch that until they were at least 17 or something. And even then I'd be like, you're going to have so much sex after you watch the show, because you're just going to think it's okay. These kids, even Ken, when he's like, how do you watch this? He's like, look at them. Look at what they're wearing. I'm like, Ken, you sound like an old man.
Even Ken starts to think sex is okay after he watches this show.
And now they got handcuffs on the beds. And
the beds. Leather
straps and swings.
Since it's the future. Leather straps have been around a while, you guys.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, chat, thank you so much for joining us. I thank you everyone for joining us here on the show. We're excited to have this all available on YouTube now. That's been really cool. Just been getting cool feedback over there. New pandas, finding the Stranded Panda universe, which is just neat. And thank you, Ashley, for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Jeff, always a pleasure, my friend.
Always, sir, always.
We'll be back soon, and peace.
Happy New Year.
Until next time, true believers.
Thank you for joining us for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, available everywhere you get podcasts, and now a video version streaming live on twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and available at youtube.com/strandedpanda. And if you'd like to learn more about all of our other podcasts, geeky projects, and ways to support the network, visit strandedpanda.com.